Pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Colorado Rockies in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today: on the mound for the Rockies, right-hander German Marquez, and for the Padres, right-hander Nick Pivetta. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch in Denver coming up at 12:10 p.m. A very happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Susan, tuned in today from New York. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We hear from Padres reliever Jeremiah Estrada. We check in with Jesse Agler inside the radio booth in just a little bit as well. But first, it's time to set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations: La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 25-13. They are in a virtual tie for first place in the National League West alongside the LA Dodgers. Padres wrap up this 9-game road trip today. They are 6-2 on this 9-game trip. Meanwhile, the Rockies are 6-33, the worst record in Major League Baseball. Colorado has lost 8 games in a row. We'll have more on just how bad this start for the Rockies has been a little bit later. Padres and Rockies have played 4 times so far this season. 5 times so far this season. Padres have won all 5 meetings. They have outscored the Rockies in those 5 games 50-9. Padres wrapping up this 3-game set in Denver. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, the first story of last night's game, the offense. First inning, Jackson Merrill RBI single, a run scoring on a wild pitch, an RBI ground out made it 3-0, and then it was Gavin Sheets.
Blaylock delivers. Sheets swings, sends it in the air, high and deep to right field. This one is way back, going to go. Second deck at Coors. A 2-run homer for Sheets and a 5-0 Padre lead here in the first.
Padres got right back to work in the second. Luis Arraez hit an RBI single to make it 6-0. In the top of the third, it was Jake.
And Jake launches one deep to right field. Forget about it. Way back, and second deck for Cronenworth. So for the second time tonight, one of the Padres left-handed hitters puts one way up top here at Coors Field. 7-0 San Diego.
Top of the fourth inning, a Jackson Merrill RBI single made it 8-0. A sac fly from Jake Cronenworth made it 9-0 with 2 on base. Later in the inning, it was Jay Hay.
Chad Hayward swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field. Beck going back, turns to watch. This one is going to go! A home run! Jason Hayward, a 3-run home run. The Padres' first 3-run home run of the season, and it is 12-0 here in the fourth.
Padres were far from done. Later in the inning, there were 2 on for Luis Arraez.
And Arraez hits it on the ground right side. That's a fair ball up the line. Tolia couldn't get there. Rounding third, Diaz. He'll come in to score easily. Fernando being waved. He's on his way. Arraez into third base with a 2-run triple. And a 14-0 lead here in the fourth inning.
Manny Machado hit an RBI single. Padres led 15-0 through 4 innings. On to the 5th inning, Xander Bogaerts led off.
And Xander swings, hits it in the air down the left field line. Beck going back towards the corner, looking up, and it's going to go. Home run, Xander Bogaerts. Second of the year, the 4th of the night, and it is 16-0.
Later in the inning, there were 2 on and 2 out. Fernando Tatis Jr. dug in.
3-2, hung a breaking ball. Fernando hit it high and deep to left. Beck is at the wall. This one gonna go. Big mistake to the big guy. A 3-run homer for Tatis. and the Padres are pouring it on here in Denver. It is 19-0 in the fifth.
Top of the sixth inning, Tyler Wade hit an RBI single. Top of the eighth, Gavin Sheets, a 2-run double. Padres led 21-0. Now, let's get to the other huge headline of this game. Stephen Kolek was amazing. Even while having to wait around for his offense, the score, he just rolled right through the Rockies. He was at 8 scoreless innings at under 90 pitches. Kolek went back out for the ninth inning, and he polished off an amazing performance at the altitude in Denver.
Now the righty is ready. 2-2. The pitch to Tolia taken on the outside corner. Strike 3 called, and the ball game is over. An historic night at Coors Field comes to a close as Stephen Kolek throws a 5-hit shutout in his second major league start. And the Padres not only shut out the Rockies again, but they do so 21-0 here at Coors Field.
An absolutely historic evening in Denver at Coors Field as the Padres win game 2 of this 3-game set. And now today they go for a 3-game sweep of the Colorado Rockies. Let's go out to Coors Field in Denver.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, I apologize. We're a little late getting out to you, but we had so many highlights to get to from yesterday's game. What a performance it was. Padres became the first major league team to score 20 or more runs and have their starter throw a 9-inning shutout since the Cincinnati Red Stockings did so against the Baltimore Orioles in August of 1889. Jesse, you never know what you're going to see when you show up at a major league ballpark. Last night, for a lot of reasons, was pretty special what the Padres did as a team.
Oh, it certainly was, and you can just go on and on and on with the notes like that.
Yeah.
Pretty wild to think about it. And, those Orioles, by the way, that's not even the Orioles that play today. That's the old National League Orioles. I mean, that's how long ago that was. And, it was a remarkable thing to see. I mean, you felt so many different things watching it, but just the relentlessness of the offensive approach was pretty remarkable. And then obviously to be able to get those results, part of that is the ballpark, part of that is the opponent. Certainly, don't want to act like those things were not factors, but nonetheless, an incredible display of power by the Padres. And I don't mean power in the home run sense, although obviously those certainly were a part of the story last night. Just generally their talent, their ability, and their focus in a game like that. It was something special. You're not going to see that very often.
Yeah, it really was. And then you pair it with what Stephen Kolek did in his second major league start. It really was an amazing night at Coors Field. Let's talk a little bit about today's game. Nick Pivetta takes the mound for the Padres. He's obviously been terrific so far. Had a pretty solid outing in New York against the Yankees earlier on this road trip. But, Jesse, Coors Field, as it is for many pitchers, has been a place that has not been particularly kind to Nick Pivetta. So it does make it a little interesting here today.
Yeah, of course, always. That's the caveat with any game here for a guy, and the numbers are not pretty for Nick, including a very tough one here last year as a member of the Red Sox. But look, I mean, you've seen what Randy Vasquez has done this weekend. You saw, obviously, what Stephen Kolek did in yesterday's game. And, all right, Nick Pivetta, your turn. I mean, the blueprint is there. You've kind of laid out what needs to happen. And, it's always different. It's always weird. Daytime today, it's going to be a little bit warm. So, the ball will probably be flying. But, I mean, I can't imagine Nick Pivetta is anything but locked in the way he normally is.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been so good for the Padres so far. One offensive note to focus on for the Padres, Jesse, Manny Machado continues to swing the bat incredibly well now in the midst of a 10-game hitting streak. And you start looking at some of the numbers average-wise. I mean, he has been really good. No surprise. What have you thought of what Manny's done, especially as of late?
Yeah, it's been a little bit different this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think what we're getting from Manny right now, and oh, by the way, he's all of a sudden the second leading hitter in the National League, is what we were getting at the beginning of the season, which was sort of this high batting average version of Manny Machado. Still just the 3 home runs. Now he's got a ton of doubles. So, I'm certainly not painting him as a singles hitter right now. But, it's a very measured approach at the plate. He is not chasing much at all. He is driving the ball on a line, it seems like, really gap to gap, whether it's at Petco or not. And it's a little bit of a different guy to this point than maybe we've seen in the past. but it is a very, very dangerous guy in the middle of the lineup. And I think, his approach and the results that he's gotten so far are, in a way, right, kind of the culmination of the team approach. Not trying to do too much, not worried about hitting the ball out of the yard, just kind of knowing that those home runs will come if you stick with it. And as has been the case really since he's been here, as Manny goes, so go the Padres. And the way he's kind of setting the tone in a way offensively with that approach, I think has been really fun to watch.
Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. Enjoy the final day of this road trip. It has finally come to an end after today. So we'll see you at Petco Park tomorrow. Hopefully the Padres finish things off with a win in Colorado. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sam.
All right, Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready again for first pitch coming up in Denver at 12:10 p.m. Here in San Diego. Right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres. Right-hander German Marquez on the mound for the Colorado Rockies. Padres, by the way, have not swept a 3-game series in Denver at Coors Field. I couldn't believe this when I originally read it. They have not swept a 3-game series at Coors Field since 2011. It's been a long time. So the Padres, let's just be honest, they have a great opportunity to do that today. They're rolling offensively. They've got Nick Pivetta on the mound, who's been terrific, and this is a Rockies team, and we'll get into some of the numbers a little bit later. We've gone over them plenty over the course of this weekend. This is a Rockies team that is just not playing good baseball at all right now. So I say all that to say very, very good opportunity for the Padres to get a 3-game sweep at Coors Field today. But hey, it's baseball. Anything can happen, and that's why you play the games. When we come back, we hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, plus a little bit later, we hear from Padres reliever Jeremiah Estrada, our keys to the game, what to watch for, a full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, and much, much more to come. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. You're listening to the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 12:10 in Denver, Colorado at Coors Field for the final game of this three-game series between the Padres and the Rockies. Padres going for a three-game sweep of the Rocks. Military Sunday on the Padres Radio Network is presented by your San Diego Toyota Dealers Association. Every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, no cost maintenance standard, so you get peace of mind standard. As we get ready for this one, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability for Mike Shildt today. So let's revisit what Mike had to say after yesterday's 21-0 win over the Colorado Rockies. What a game. Stephen Kolek again. I said this plenty last night. He was the headline, a complete game shutout, a 5-hitter on 104 pitches at Coors Field in the altitude in his second major league start. By the way, the 21-0 shutout was tied for the second largest shutout since 1900 in Major League Baseball. So just an incredibly historic night at Coors Field as the Padres matched their franchise record of 24 hits in a 9-inning game, largest shutout win in the history of the franchise. They also set a new team record with 45 total bases in a game. So look, the notes, as I said yesterday in the post game, they came in fast and furious. All these different historical markers that the Padres achieved last night as they beat the Rockies 21-0 by a few touchdowns in Denver. Here's what Mike Shildt had to say after yesterday's win. First on the offense.
Yeah, I love the hunger of it, love the competitiveness of the at-bats. Whole field, Toddy gets started, takes his walk. Louie, boom, Manny. Buggy takes good at-bats. I mean, good contributions throughout the whole lineup. Sheets swinging the bat. Crony's looking good. Jackson, what can you say? Just continues to take great at-bats. Love the contribution from 1 through 9. I mean, everybody contributed, got in the game, got a knock. So, Hayward driving the ball the other way, 3-run homer, opens it up. Diaz, fantastic at-bats, and just relentless the whole night.
How thrilled to see Stephen Kolek.
Oh man, that was very impressive. It really was on a lot of levels. So, stuff was coming out really good. Dominated early counts, 1-1s. A lot of light to his ball. Slider good. There's some good change-ups. That was like, whoa, that's a really good pitch that he went and worked on when he didn't break camp with us, which I got to applaud him for that. The attitude of, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to go dominate. I'm going to go take care of my business and be ready when the call rings. And he has been. The call rang and here he is. He's shown up and get a shutout here. Get a shutout period. Complete game is very impressive in the big leagues. Doing it here is clearly impressive, but also doing it with that kind of lead and keeping the gas down. But he was on go the whole game, and hats off to him. He threw the ball exceptionally well.
What did you notice from him? Because some long waits between innings, and
yes.
Obviously like a lot of runs on the board. For him to keep that focus, what did you notice about how he went about it?
I mean, listen, I'm more into what's taking place. I did think about it as the game was going, and that's one of the things that Ruben and the catchers do. But pitchers, that's a challenging thing. To your question, you got long innings. How do you keep yourself mentally sharp? And I had to look back, and he was moving around appropriately, making sure his body wasn't getting any too stiff, but he had that good focus going, and he was locked in mentally, and it always starts there.
You got your offense back at 13 runs last night, 21. Then I know you don't expect necessarily those numbers, but what is this offense kind of capable of?
Just what you're seeing. I alluded to it earlier. Relentless is the first word that just comes to mind. It's it's the approach matched with the talent. You're seeing guys that are just on point with every at bat. They're knowing what they have a good plan of what they're doing. and they're looking to execute it relative to the situation. They're passing the baton, obviously, but just a relentless. I'm not going to give anything. I'm going to be prepared, and I'm going to, go get it and keep going. And the hunger is something that is really special.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside last night inside the Padres clubhouse following the 21-0 win for the Padres against the Colorado Rockies. Again, Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 12:10 in Denver, Colorado. Right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres today. By the way, we did have some news before today's game. Jackson Merrill was a late scratch out of the lineup today for the Padres. He was scratched due to an illness, so hopefully Jackson feeling better. We'll see if Jackson is available off the bench if needed today, and hopefully if they don't need him, hopefully he's back in the lineup tomorrow at home against the Angels. But Jackson Merrill was a late scratch from today's lineup due to an illness. So the Padres lineup today looks like this: Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off, Luis Arraez at first base batting second, Manny Machado at third base batting third, Gavin Sheets the DH batting cleanup, Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth, Jake Cronenworth at second base batting sixth, Jason Hayward batting seventh in left field, Elias Diaz behind the plate batting eighth, and now Tyler Wade in center field taking the place of Jackson Merrill batting ninth. So again, Jackson Merrill, a late scratch due to an illness. He was originally in today's starting lineup. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, even though Jackson isn't in the lineup, we'll keep him in the hot category. He certainly deserves it. Jackson Merrill, 11 for 19 with a home run, 2 doubles, and 6 RBIs in his 4 games off the IL. 4 hits last night. He's had at least 2 hits in 5 consecutive games going back to his last game. Before going on the injured list, Merrill now hitting .446 in 14 games this season. Manny Machado also in the hot category in the midst of a 10-game hitting streak, hitting .474 in that span with 5 extra base hits, 7 RBIs, and 11 runs scored in the 10-game hit streak. And the not category, a guy not in the lineup today, but you could see him off the bench, and that is Jose Iglesias, who is just 1 for his last 21. And that is a quick look at who's hot, who's not on this Sunday. Now let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Couple of quick headlines for you, and we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later. Red Sox putting first baseman Romy Gonzalez on the 10-day IL yesterday with a left quad contusion. In a corresponding move, the Red Sox recalled second baseman Nick Sogard from AAA Worcester, and they have a plan to have him split time at first base alongside Abraham Toro. Of course, the backdrop to all this is Rafael Devers' current refusal to play first base. And by the way, Devers went 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs last night. So offensively, Rafael Devers is doing just fine, but continues to be a big story in Boston. Devers doesn't want to play first base. The Red Sox want him to, and now the Red Sox put another first baseman on the IL yesterday in Romy Gonzalez. Mike Trout intends to resume running next week as the Angels slugger ramps up his recovery from a bone bruise in his left knee. The 33-year-old confirmed yesterday that he won't be back in the Angels lineup when he's immediately eligible to come off the IL today, but the 3-time AL MVP remains confident he won't miss an extended period of time with this latest injury. He swung a bat in a cage for a third straight day yesterday. He hopes to test his knee with some running when the Angels travel to San Diego for a series starting tomorrow. And that is a quick look at a couple of headlines from around the major leagues. And again, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later on. When we come back, we give you our keys to the game. We also revisit a conversation that Jeremiah Estrada had here on 97.3 The Fan earlier this week. A full breakdown of our starting pitching matchup between Nick Pivetta and German Marquez on the mound for the Rockies. First pitch coming up at 12:10 in Denver. You're tuned in on a Sunday to the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, gang, it's Woodsy. Ever wanted to drink your shower water? With EcoWater SoCal Smart Filtration, you actually...
Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 12:10 in Denver. Padres going for a 3-game sweep today of the Colorado Rockies. We'll hear from Jeremiah Estrada in just a moment. First, let's give you the latest on our injury report.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, as far as who's out, we told you in our last segment that Jackson Merrill was a scratch from today's lineup due to an illness, so hopefully Jackson feeling better soon. Tyler Wade will play center field and bat ninth for the Padres in this series finale. Jake Cronenworth, of course, returned from the non-displaced rib fracture he had on Friday. Jake back in the lineup today. So the Padres, at least for a couple of days, they had the full complement of offensive players, but now Jackson not in the lineup, at least for today. Rockies, meanwhile, as we know, they're without a number of guys right now. Chris Bryant underwent successful ablation surgery on his back this week. He's going to be out a while longer. Ezequiel Tovar out with a hip injury. Thairo Estrada out with a wrist injury. Things not going well for the Rockies, whether it be on the field or they're pretty banged up as well. And that's a look at our injury report quickly on this Sunday. Well, Padres reliever Jeremiah Estrada joined at 97.3 The Fan on Friday on the Gwynn and Chris program. And as we know, Jeremiah, a big reason for his success, the development of the chitter, really a mix between a changeup and a splitter. It has been a big pitch for Jeremiah from the moment he joined the Padres, a big reason why he continues to be such a key right-handed reliever in that Padres bullpen. On Friday, during his interview on 97.3 The Fan, Jeremiah gave a really, really good breakdown on how that chitter was developed. Here was what Jeremiah had to say.
It was during the Cubs 2020 or 2023 year. Was kind of struggling with throughout that season when the Cubs staff wanted me to learn a splitter. They had told me to get rid of my changeup that I felt helped me get drafted, and they told me to get rid of it because I was striking out more guys with the fastball slider. So I listened, as any other minor leaguer would listen to any big league coach to just spend time in the big leagues. But once I got up there, things were going well, and then all of a sudden they were just like, "Hey, let's teach you kind of like a splitter to a forkball." And I told them, I was like, "I got a change up, but you guys want to stop it? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna keep throwing it, or I'll try to throw it because I want to be a big leaguer." It went nowhere. It was hurting my arm and it just was not working. And then I started kind of performing bad after that with just kind of just like elbow inflammation and just forearm inflammation. I couldn't figure it out, and they optioned me.
Oh man!
And told me to go figure it out in AAA. So as that happened, just did not work out whatsoever. Took about a month, couldn't figure it out. Things were just kind of going bad, and then we had that All-Star break, and things were just kind of just like not a light at the tunnel at that point. But when it got to that point, it was where they were trying to option me to AA, and I was like, no, I need to figure myself out. Like, I'm sorry to tell you guys no, but I gotta figure me out. Like, I've done a lot of what you guys have told me, and as an athlete, no one's gonna know anything better on how that guy's gonna feel other than himself. Only you are gonna know what feels good within what you're doing. So I told them, can you guys just give me a break, like let me do my thing? And then they were asking me what I wanted to do, and I told them, can you guys just send me to Arizona so I could figure myself out? And they didn't like that, and they did. And as soon as that happened, they told me, like, hey, here you go, give yourself a couple of weeks. You don't have to show up to the facility. Like, take your time. It's been a long year. We know you're struggling. I'm like, no, I'll be there tomorrow to get to work.
Yeah, there you go.
And within that time, I've just been trying to figure out another off-speed pitch.
Yeah.
So like a change-up or a splitter, and change-up didn't work. Their splitter didn't work. And then one day I was just like, let me try to stick it between the ring finger and the middle finger, kind of like a Vulcan. And then I tried the Vulcan, and it didn't work. And then I kind of just like mixed in my old change-up within kind of like the splitter way, because they had showed me a grip-wise on how to throw that splitter, and I was like, why don't I do this, but like kind of make it look like a circle change, but with both of my fingers on the left circled, and then the ring finger and my pinky will stay on top, if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. We've seen the pictures.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I was just throwing it in my living room or in my hotel room at the time, figuring it out and throwing it up at the roof like any other baseball player does with the baseball, laying on the bed. And
wow.
I showed up to the field next day, and I was like, hey, can I try this out? And they're like, what the heck is that? How are you going to throw that? And I was like, I don't know, but we're going to see. It feels good in the hand, because as a pitcher, all you care about is feel. It's nothing about other than feel.
Yeah.
And I threw a bullpen with it, and I was able to locate, and the movement was good, and everything just started working. They're like, okay, let's kind of do this more. And then voila.
That was Jeremiah Estrada earlier this week here on 97.3 The Fan. Really good interview on the Gwynn and Chris program on Friday. If you want to hear that full interview, you can go back and listen to the interview on the Odyssey app or on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. And a big thank you to Jeremiah Estrada for joining the station earlier this week. First pitch coming up at 12:10 in Denver. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
I'm going to keep it really simple today. Key number one, keep scoring. The Padres, 5 home runs last night, were their most in a game since 2023. And yes, that game was at Coors Field. Padres entered last night's game tied for 25th in the major leagues with 31 home runs. That number is now 36, still just 19th in the major leagues. Before hitting 2 of them last night, the Padres were the only team in the majors without a 3-run home run this season. And again, what do you know? They had 2 in last night's game. Obviously, the Padres have an opportunity at the altitude in Denver and against a rough Rockies pitching staff to hit more home runs, grab a big lead here today. So they got to do that. An extra note, Fernando Tatis Jr. hit his first home run in 16 games last night. The 62 at-bats between home runs was actually the longest drought of Fernando's career. But Fernando did hit a 3-run home run in yesterday's game. That home run, by the way, made it 19-0. Let's stay on the offense. In this series alone, the Padres have scored 34 runs in their first 2 games. The franchise record for most runs in a single 3-game series is 41. Their record for most runs in any series is 44. The record for most runs by a visiting team in a series at Coors Field is 46. That was set by the Nationals in a 4-game set back in April of 2017. So all those records could go down today. Very, very much attainable with the Padres already at 34 runs in the first 2 games of this series. On the other side of things, the Rockies are looking to avoid becoming just the 6th team in Major League history to allow 10-plus runs in 5 consecutive games. They'd be the first to do it since the 1929 Phillies if the Padres score at least 10 today. And the Rockies, 55 runs given up in the last 3 days, are the most in a 3-day span since 1950. That includes a doubleheader against the Tigers on Thursday. So I know I threw a lot of different numbers and stats at you there, but I bring that all up in key number 1 to say there's no reason the Padres shouldn't score runs in this game today. German Marquez has been hit really hard this season. It's at the altitude. The Padres are rolling. Score runs. And I think the Padres will be okay, and we'll see. I'd say the Padres score a bunch today, but you never know, right? That's baseball. Key number 2, again, let's keep it simple. Don't let the Rockies offense wake up. The Rockies offense scored 9 runs on 16 hits on Friday, although 7 of those runs were in the final 2 innings. They were shut out on 5 hits last night. The Rockies, despite playing at Coors Field, have scored the 2nd fewest runs in baseball this season. Nick Pivetta on the mound, whoever comes in from the bullpen after that, don't let them wake up in this series on the final day of this 3-game set. And that's a quick look at our keys to the game. Keeping it very simple today. Padres got to score, and don't let the Rockies offense wake up. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have one final already in the major leagues today. Mets beat the Cubs 6-2 in New York. Francisco Lindor, a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning of that game. Brandon Nimmo, also a home run in that one for the Mets. Games going on right now. Braves and the Pirates are scoreless in the 5th inning in Pittsburgh. Cardinals 2, Nationals 1 in D.C. in the 6th inning. Rays leading the Brewers 1-0 in Tampa Bay in the 2nd. Rangers 3, Tigers 0 in the 4th inning in Detroit. Red Sox and the Royals are scoreless in Kansas City in the 3rd. Reds and the Astros are scoreless in the 2nd in Houston. Marlins and the White Sox scoreless in the 3rd in Chicago. Giants 1, Twins 0 in Minnesota in the 3rd. Games yet to begin. Yankees and the A's in Sacramento at 1:05. Orioles and the Angels in Anaheim at 1:07. Dodgers and the Diamondbacks at 1:10 in Arizona. Tony Gonsolin on the mound for LA. Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona. Blue Jays and the Mariners at 1:10 in Seattle. Phillies and the Guardians on Sunday Night Baseball in Cleveland at 4 p.m. Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies in that one. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have much more on those games coming up in our post-game coverage later on this afternoon. When we come back, we take a much deeper dive into today's starting pitching matchup as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 12:10 in Denver. Padres going for a 3-game sweep of the Rockies here on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 12:10 in Denver. We go out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. in just about 7 minutes. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. Let's tell you what to watch for in this series finale.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game? How about Jason Hayward, what he does today? And I bring him up for a couple of reasons. Jason, of course, had a 3-run home run in yesterday's game, part of a 5-home run day for the Padres offense. Hayward now has the second highest batting average at Coors Field among active players with 100 or more at-bats. There is 349 average and 129 at-bats is behind only the Mets' Starling Marte's 408 average. So Hayward has always been very good at Coors Field. The other reason I bring up Jason Hayward, he's typically been very, very good against German Marquez, today's Rockies starter. He is, in his career, 6 for 15 against Marquez. That's 400 batting average with a home run against Marquez. So keep an eye on what Jason Hayward does today for this Padres lineup at a place in Coors Field where he likes to hit and against the guy in Marquez that he typically does very well against. Couple of other guys in the lineup today to watch against Marquez, and we'll talk more about Marquez in just a second. Jake Cronenworth batting .316 in his career against Marquez with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. Manny Machado typically has hit him very well. .406 average with a home run and 6 RBIs, 2 doubles in his career against German Marquez. Speaking of German Marquez, let's take a look at our starting pitching matchup today between Nick Pivetta and the Rocky right-hander.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
On the mound for the Padres today, right-hander Nick Pivetta, the 32-year-old in the midst of a great start to his season, 5-1 at 2.01 ERA, 7 starts, 40 innings and a third. He struck out 44 and walked 12. His last start in New York against the Yankees, he went 5 innings, 2 earned runs, given up 5 hits. He struck out 5 and walked 4. He pitched 7 scoreless innings against the Rockies back on April 11th in San Diego. But the thing to keep in mind today for Pivetta, for as good as he's been, Coors Field has been a place that has not been kind to Nick Pivetta. 3 starts there in his career. He's gone a total of 10 innings, 24 hits given up, 21 earned runs allowed in those 10 innings, 4 home runs given up. One of those starts came last season with the Red Sox, and it didn't go well. He went 2 2/3 innings, allowed 7 earned runs on 10 hits. So even though Pivetta's been great, he's going to have to prove a little something at Coors Field today because it has been a place that has not been kind to Nick Pivetta. We'll see how it goes. Right-hander German Marquez on the mound for the Rockies today, 0-6, a 9.90 ERA in 7 starts this season, 30 innings, 47 hits given up. He struck out 18 and walked 12. The 9.90 ERA ranks last among the 176 pitchers with at least 20 innings pitched across the major leagues this season. His last start in San Francisco, not great. 4 innings and a third, 5 earned runs given up, 6 hits allowed, 2 home runs given up. Faced the Padres on April 11th in San Diego. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs total. And that is a look at our starting pitching matchup. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres, and it's right-hander German Marquez on the mound for the Colorado Rockies. Again, the Padres looking to sweep a 3-game series at Coors Field for the first time since 2011 today. Padres come in 25-13, wrapping up this 9-game road trip today. They come back home to face the Angels as they begin a 3-game series against the Angels tomorrow at Petco Park. Meanwhile, the Rockies, as we know, not going well. They are 6-33, the worst record in Major League Baseball. The Rockies have lost 8 consecutive games. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. When we come back on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, just kidding, we're going out to Denver. Pregame coverage is over. Sorry, it's early. It's a Sunday. Jesse and Tony are with you. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.
Tony Gwynn Jr. here. Upgrade your outdoor living space with TimberTech, the #1 premium composite decking brand. It looks